The cognitive model of depression. Aaron Beck introduced the 3 levels of cognitive distortions, where depression results from negative views of the self, experience, and the future, which then leads to biases, distortions, and automatic thoughts. Examples of negative automatic thoughts include, I'm a failure, which is an example of labeling, and it's terrible this happened to me, which is catastrophizing. Distorted automatic thoughts are based on maladaptive assumptions such as shoulds, musts statements. For example, I should succeed at everything I try, and I must be accepted by everyone. There are also if-then assumptions, such as, for example, if I don't succeed, I'm a failure, and if someone doesn't love me, then I'm unlovable. Another type of automatic thought can include negative expectations of the future, known as fortune-telling. Beck stated that when individuals confronted failure or loss, the maladaptive beliefs about the self and others becomes activated, and that these schemas constitute core beliefs about the self, which aligns with believing one to be, for example, ugly, incompetent, vulnerable to abandonment, being helpless, controlled by others, and unlovable, or beliefs about others such as that others are superior, unreliable, judgmental, or controlling. The schema or core beliefs model states that personality disorders are the result of core beliefs that had maladaptive coping styles, such as becoming lazy and irresponsible, for example, because they compensate for their high standards placed on their self and others, and labeling themselves as failures for not achieving the aforementioned high standards. That's for the example of perfectionism or perfectionistic individuals. This model also emphasizes linking these beliefs to early childhood experiences and attempts to use role-play, imagery, experimental techniques, and cognitive restructuring to reparent and model positive schemas to replace early maladaptive schemas, according to Young and colleagues 2003. Cognitive therapy involves reviewing a patient's depression through their maladaptive assumptions, core beliefs, schemas, and automatic thoughts, even at the initial assessment. And then the practitioner aims to create a case conceptualization in linking the 3 levels of thinking to help the patient understand how life stresses, bad childhood experiences, and past and present relationships can trigger maladaptive coping and depressed cognitions. Examples of cognitive therapeutic interventions include bibliotherapy to make the individual aware of the cognitive model by being given similar examples that help them socialize and become aware of how thoughts shape the way they behave and perceive the world. There's behavioral activation, where activity scheduling, structuring reward menus, and creating short or long-term goals takes place. There's also addressing hopelessness and suicidal risk, as well as maintaining distorted automatic thoughts and countering them through categorizing the thoughts, assessing the cost-benefit, evaluating the evidence against the thought, using reverse roleplay, pointing out double standards, etc. Cognitive therapy and medication was found to be both effective, though therapy was even more effective in changing dysfunctional attitudes, according to Derubes and colleagues, 1990. In addition, Seligman, 1975, introduced his theory of learned helplessness, whereby an individual believes themselves to have a stable internal cause of failure and believe that this failure will generalize to other situations, which thus produces a pattern of negative attributions that creates a feedback loop in which they believe that they are a failure. The depression results from negatively attributing a lack of ability, for example, as opposed to unstable qualities like a lack of effort or task difficulty, which is seen as external. Abramson and colleagues in 1986 proposed the helplessness model of depression, where negative events leads to stable global and internal attributions, which then cause depressive symptoms like the lack of energy, low self-esteem, sadness, lack of goal-directed activity, and suicidal ideation. CBT aims to attribute failure or bad luck to external factors like task difficulty, as opposed to permanent qualities about the self. Rumination is the excess focus on negative affect spurred by feelings, problems, and passive thoughts that arise with no problem solving nor distraction in mind, according to Nolan Hoxema 1991. Individuals become stuck in their ruminations, which reduces self-efficacy and restricts problem solving. Wells in 2009 created the metacognitive model of rumination and depression, where an overfocus on thoughts of negative affect leads to beliefs that rumination will solve problems. But what rumination actually does is create more depressive thoughts that further lead to avoidance of the negative situation. Interventions can include rumination postponement, attention training, and detached mindfulness. Cognitive behavioral therapy can be used to examine the evidence of rumination, cost benefits, and mood fluctuations that results from ruminations. Mindfulness cognitive therapy uses a focus on attention to the present moment that is non-judgmental and helps to reduce the need for control over the situation, which thus reduces rumination and the tendency for overgeneralized autobiographical memory and the recalling of events in general and vague ways. MCBT helps to reduce relapse, especially for those who had 3 or more prior depressive episodes. So in summary, cognitive behavioral therapy and the utilization of the cognitive model, as according to the likes of Beck and Seligman's theories, all help to challenge, supplant, and replace negative cognitions with positive ones. And yeah, that's about it. Thank you very much for watching. Bye-bye.